Hey friends, have you ever opened your fridge, pulled out something healthy, and thought, there's no way this could hurt me, right? Well, what if I told you that some of those so-called superfoods could quietly set you up for a stroke, especially if you're over 60? I know, it sounds dramatic, but as someone who's worked with countless seniors and seen the brain scans, I can tell you this. Age changes everything. Your blood vessels get stiffer, your kidneys slow down, and suddenly the healthy stuff you ate all your life might not be playing as nicely with your body as it once did. And no, I'm not talking about cheeseburgers or soda. I'm talking about vegetables. Yes, veggies. Spinach, broccoli, onions, garlic. Foods that have been practically canonized in health magazines for decades. I'm going to walk you through 9 common vegetables that can mess with your brain health under the wrong circumstances. But don't panic. I'm not saying these veggies are evil or that you should toss out your salads forever. Far from it. The goal here is awareness, so you can adjust your diet smartly rather than living in fear. And let me be clear, most people will never have a stroke from eating a vegetable alone. But certain combinations, like veggies plus meds, veggies at the wrong time of day, or overdoing certain healthy foods, can create a dangerous cocktail, particularly for older adults. So if you're over 60, or you love someone who is, stick around. Because I'm about to spill the beans, pun intended, on how everyday veggies could either save your brain or quietly sabotage it. Grab a drink, settle in, and let's dive deep into the secret side of your salad bowl. Section 1. Spinach, the double-edged leaf. Let's kick off with spinach. Most of us grew up thinking spinach was the food of champions. Blame Popeye for that. It's rich in iron, magnesium, fiber, and tons of vitamins. But here's the twist. In older adults, especially those over 65, spinach can become a silent saboteur. The reason? Something called oxalates. Spinach is loaded with these naturally occurring compounds. Normally, in young healthy bodies, oxalates just flush out through your kidneys. No big deal. But in people over 60, the story changes. Why? Because as we age, our kidneys might not filter as efficiently. Our arteries get stiffer. Many seniors take calcium or vitamin D supplements for their bones. Mix spinach's oxalates with high calcium intake, and those oxalates can bind to calcium, forming sharp crystals, like tiny needles, in your blood vessels. Not just in your kidneys, but potentially in the delicate arteries supplying your brain. These crystals contribute to vascular calcification, stiffening blood vessels, and creating an environment ripe for microclots. Now, a microclot might not sound scary until it drifts into a tiny blood vessel in your brain. That's how you end up with an ischemic stroke, where part of your brain suddenly loses oxygen. Let me tell you about someone I met, a patient I'll call Harold. He was 76, a retired firefighter. Super healthy guy. Every evening he ate a spinach salad, sprinkled with feta cheese, plus a slice of whole grain toast. He also took vitamin D and calcium every day, like many seniors. Sounds healthy, right? One morning, Harold's wife found him slumped over the kitchen table, coffee spilled, words jumbled. Turns out, Harold had suffered a silent overnight stroke. His brain scans showed hardened arteries, and blood tests revealed high levels of both calcium and oxalates. A deadly combination. Now, did spinach cause Harold's stroke? Not alone. But the combo of spinach, supplements, and aging blood vessels created the perfect storm. Here's the good news. Spinach doesn't have to be banned. Smart tips for seniors eating spinach. Eat it earlier in the day, not late at night. Talk to your doctor if you're on calcium or vitamin D supplements. Don't overload on raw spinach daily. Moderation is your friend. Remember, your body at 70 is not your body at 40. Even good foods need new rules. Ready for the next veggie twist? Let's talk broccoli, the veggie that's a heart hero but can be a brain villain under certain conditions. Section 2. Broccoli, the green paradox. Now let's chat about broccoli. Broccoli has been the golden child of the vegetable world for decades. Parents nag kids to eat it. Doctors praise it. It's packed with fiber, antioxidants, and a superstar nutrient, vitamin K. Vitamin K is fantastic in many ways. It helps your blood clot properly, prevents excessive bleeding, and supports bone health. But here's where the plot thickens. For older adults, especially those taking blood thinners like warfarin, Plavix, or even daily aspirin, broccoli's vitamin K can become a double agent. Let me explain. Your blood's ability to clot needs a delicate balance. Too thick, risk of clots and strokes. Too thin, risk of bleeding in your brain. Blood thinners are prescribed to prevent strokes by keeping blood less sticky. But vitamin K counters those drugs. It helps blood clot. So if you're eating big, inconsistent amounts of broccoli, your vitamin K levels swing up and down like a roller coaster. And for someone on blood thinners, that can be a dangerous game. One day, your blood's too thin, risking a brain bleed. The next day, it's too thick, risking a clot. Here's a real-life example. I once treated Clara, an 82-year-old retired school teacher. She was devoted to healthy eating. Every night, she steamed broccoli with olive oil and lemon. She also took blood thinners for a heart condition. Clara thought broccoli was harmless, but her blood clotting levels, what we measure as INR, kept swinging wildly. One afternoon, Clara complained of a headache and confusion. Hours later, she collapsed. A brain scan revealed a hemorrhagic stroke, a bleed inside her brain. The doctors asked her daughter if Clara's diet had changed. When she mentioned nightly bowls of broccoli, my heart sank. Broccoli wasn't bad, but without consistency, it wrecked the balance her medications were trying to maintain. So here's the takeaway. If you're on blood thinners, you don't have to stop eating broccoli, but keep your intake consistent. Don't eat 3 cups one day and none the next. And always talk to your doctor about your diet, because even healthy food can turn risky if your body's chemistry has shifted with age. And here's something else to remember. Your brain's blood vessels become thinner and more fragile as you age. A bleed that might be minor in your 30s could be life-changing at 75. So, enjoy broccoli, but be smart about it. Section 3. Romaine lettuce. The nighttime dehydrator. Let's move on to a veggie you'd never suspect. Romaine lettuce. Low-calorie, crunchy, hydrating. Sounds perfect for weight loss or a light dinner, right? Well, it is great. But not always for older adults, especially at night. Here's the scoop. Romaine lettuce has a mild diuretic effect. That means it encourages your body to lose water through your kidneys and urine. For younger folks, it's no big deal. The body bounces back fast. But in seniors, several things change. You naturally feel less thirst as you age. Medications for blood pressure often already lower fluid levels. Your blood vessels are less elastic, so if you're eating a big romaine salad at night, you're quietly pulling fluid out of your system while you sleep. You might think dehydration means feeling parched, but in older adults, it's often silent. Here's why it matters. When you lose fluid overnight, your blood becomes thicker, like syrup instead of water. Thick blood is more prone to forming tiny clots. If one of those clots travels to a blood vessel in your brain, it could block blood flow and cause a silent stroke while you sleep. I've seen this happen more times than I'd like to admit. Take Leon, a 75-year-old retired factory worker. Leon was in decent health, on medication for high blood pressure. Every night, he made a huge romaine lettuce salad with cucumbers and vinegar dressing. Light, healthy, right? One morning, his wife found him confused and struggling to speak. Doctors discovered he'd suffered a mild stroke. His blood tests showed signs of mild dehydration and thicker than normal blood viscosity. Was romaine lettuce the villain? Not entirely, but combined with his meds and dehydration overnight, it became the tipping point. So here's my advice. For seniors who love salad, have your big salad at lunch instead of dinner. Stay hydrated, especially before bed. If you're on blood pressure meds or diuretics, talk to your doctor about nighttime eating habits. Leon made a full recovery, but it took months of therapy. And he often said, "I thought I was eating healthy. I didn't know lettuce could do this." Don't get me wrong, romaine lettuce isn't dangerous for everyone. But for older adults, especially those on certain meds, timing and hydration are crucial. Remember, it's not about avoiding healthy foods. It's about adapting them to your changing body. Up next, a vegetable that's crunchy, sweet, and often seen as the perfect healthy snack, but which could quietly spike your blood sugar and cause havoc overnight. Any guesses? Yep, it's carrots. And trust me, you'll want to hear this one. Section 4. Carrots, the sweet spike. Alright, folks, let's talk about carrots. Carrots feel so innocent, don't they? Crunchy, naturally sweet, low in calories, great for your eyesight. Many older adults keep raw carrot sticks in the fridge as a guilt-free snack. But there's a little-known side to carrots, especially if you're over 60. Here's what you need to know. Carrots are lower on the glycemic index than candy, sure, but raw carrots still contain fast-acting carbohydrates. When you eat a handful of raw carrots, especially by themselves and especially late at night, your blood sugar goes up. In a younger, healthy person, that spike isn't usually a problem. The body releases insulin, brings sugar back down, end of story. But in older adults, the insulin response is often slower, or sometimes too aggressive. This can cause something called nocturnal hypoglycemia, a fancy way of saying your blood sugar drops too low while you're sleeping. That drop sets off alarm bells in your body. Stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline kick in to raise your sugar again. But guess what else those hormones do? They tighten your blood vessels. They increase your blood pressure. They make your blood more likely to clot. And that's bad news for a brain already dealing with stiff, fragile arteries. Let me share a story. There was a woman I worked with named Leah, a 78-year-old retired nurse. She was fit, active, and passionate about natural health. She'd swapped cookies for raw carrots as her nightly snack. She thought she was being super healthy, but Leah started waking up feeling off. She'd have mild confusion, dizziness, tingling in her hands. She chalked it up to aging. Then one morning, she couldn't remember how to make coffee, the same routine she'd done every day for 40 years. Her husband rushed her to the hospital. Leah had suffered a mild stroke overnight. Her blood tests revealed erratic blood sugar swings, signs of early insulin resistance, and tiny clots forming in the small arteries of her brain. Her doctor traced part of the problem to those nightly raw carrots causing blood sugar spikes and overnight crashes. It wasn't just the carrots, of course. It was how her aging body handled the sugar load differently. So here's the practical advice. If you love carrots, don't eat raw carrots alone as a bedtime snack. Pair them with protein or healthy fat during the day, like hummus or cheese. Talk to your doctor if you're diabetic or pre-diabetic. Carrots themselves aren't the enemy. The enemy is the silent blood sugar roller coaster happening while you sleep. So keep enjoying those orange sticks, but with a strategy. Section 5. Garlic, the silent blood thinner. Next up, let's tackle garlic. Garlic has been worshipped for centuries as a miracle food. Lower blood pressure, lower cholesterol, boost immunity, fight inflammation. I mean, some people even put garlic in smoothies. Not my recommendation, but hey, you do you. But here's the catch. Garlic is a powerful natural blood thinner. That's normally good news, right? Thinner blood means fewer clots. Good for the heart. Except for seniors taking blood-thinning medications like warfarin, Plavix, or Xarelto, garlic can quietly become a dangerous partner in crime. Here's why. These prescription meds are designed to keep your blood from clotting too easily. But add garlic, especially garlic supplements, and you might tip your blood into being too thin. When your blood is too thin, even a tiny blood vessel in your brain could rupture, causing a hemorrhagic stroke. And unlike a clot-based stroke, a hemorrhagic stroke can be sudden, severe, and life-threatening. I'll share the story of Thomas, an 81-year-old retired railroad engineer. Thomas had a minor heart procedure and was put on a blood thinner. But he'd read about garlic's health benefits online and started taking garlic supplements, 600 milligrams daily, plus an extra clove in his dinner every night. He didn't tell his doctor because he thought, it's natural, it can't hurt. 3 weeks later, Thomas started getting severe headaches and light sensitivity. Then confusion, slurred speech. By the time his wife got him to the ER, he'd already suffered a hemorrhagic stroke, a bleed inside his brain. The scans showed a small blood vessel that should have held, but his blood was simply too thin to clot properly. It wasn't just the medication. It was the hidden synergy with garlic. Thomas survived, but he needed daily assistance afterward and lost parts of his short-term memory. So here's the lesson. If you're over 65 and on blood thinners, garlic is not off limits, but be cautious. Avoid high-dose garlic supplements without your doctor's approval. Watch for signs of excessive bleeding, unexplained bruises, headaches, dizziness, or fatigue. Remember, just because something is natural doesn't mean it's harmless. Your body after 65 is more sensitive to everything, including natural remedies. I'm a fan of garlic, but treat it like a medicine, not just a seasoning. Section 6. Onions, the drop in danger. All right, onion lovers, this one's for you. Onions are in practically everything. Soups, stews, sandwiches, salads. They're affordable, flavorful, full of antioxidants. But onions, like garlic, contain powerful plant compounds, most notably quercetin. Quercetin is a natural vasodilator. That means it helps your blood vessels relax and open up. Sounds awesome, right? Lower blood pressure, better circulation. Perfect. Except, if you're already taking blood pressure meds, like beta blockers, ACE inhibitors, or diuretics, adding lots of onions can double the blood pressure lowering effect. That can drop your blood pressure too low, especially overnight. Low blood pressure sounds harmless, but here's the problem. When blood pressure drops too far, your brain doesn't get enough oxygen. Your body panics and constricts blood vessels rapidly to compensate. Those sudden swings in pressure can trigger clot formation and aging, narrowed arteries. Let me tell you about George, an 80-year-old retired football coach. George loved natural health. After getting prescribed a beta blocker, he decided to boost the effect naturally. Every night for 2 months, he ate a massive raw onion salad. At first, he felt great, lighter, more energetic. Then came the morning dizziness, the fatigue, the occasional blackouts. One night, George stood up quickly and collapsed, hitting his shoulder on the kitchen table. The next morning, he couldn't remember what day it was. He slurred his words. His wife rushed him to the ER. George had suffered a small ischemic stroke caused by a clot in the blood vessel near his brain's speech center. His blood pressure chart showed significant overnight drops followed by reactive surges in the early morning. His onion-heavy diet and medications had created a perfect storm. George survived, but he lost some independence and struggles with names to this day. So if you love onions, here's how to stay safe. For seniors on blood pressure meds, enjoy onions, but in moderation. Avoid large amounts of raw onion late at night. Track your blood pressure if you notice dizziness or brain fog. Talk to your doctor about dietary interactions. Natural doesn't always mean harmless, especially when your body's systems are more delicate after 65. Up next, we'll tackle another comfort food that's sweet and golden, but might quietly mess with your brain's health. Yes, we're talking about corn, and the story might surprise you. Section 7. Corn, the sweet saboteur. Next on our list, corn. Corn is comfort food for so many people. Corn on the cob at summer BBQs, creamed corn at family dinners, grits for breakfast. It's familiar. It's sweet. It feels safe. But here's the hidden truth. Corn, while technically a vegetable, acts more like a starch in your body. It's high in natural sugars that quickly convert into glucose. And for seniors, especially those dealing with insulin resistance, diabetes, or blood pressure issues, that sudden blood sugar spike is bad news. Here's what happens. You eat corn for dinner. Your blood sugar goes up fast. Your body releases insulin to bring sugar levels down. In older adults, insulin might not work as efficiently. Instead of a smooth decline, blood sugar might crash hard. That crash triggers stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline to rescue you. But guess what else those hormones do? They cause your blood vessels to constrict, raising blood pressure and making your blood more likely to clot. Combine that with aging, stiff blood vessels, and you've got a recipe for stroke risk. Let's talk about Darlene, a 77-year-old retired librarian from Iowa. Darlene loved corn grits in the morning with honey and corn on the cob at night, a childhood tradition she carried into retirement. Over time, she started feeling exhausted in the mornings, dizzy when she stood up. Her blood pressure readings were bouncing around like crazy. One morning, her husband found her staring blankly, unable to move her left side. Darlene had suffered an ischemic stroke overnight. Her tests showed elevated blood sugar, thickened blood viscosity, and microvascular damage in her brain. The culprit wasn't just age, it was the frequent high glycemic corn, especially late at night, creating wild glucose swings and vascular stress. So what should you do? If you love corn, don't eat it alone, especially at night. Pair it with protein or healthy fats. Avoid corn-heavy dinners right before bed. If you're diabetic, pre-diabetic, or on blood pressure meds, talk to your doctor about corn intake. Corn isn't evil, but after 65, your body doesn't handle those sugar spikes the way it used to. Moderation and timing are everything. Section 8. Asparagus, the dehydration dilemma. Let's move on to asparagus, a vegetable with a fancy reputation. It's elegant, low-calorie, often featured on clean eating or detox diets. For many seniors avoiding heavy meats, asparagus becomes a go-to dinner side. But here's a surprising truth. Asparagus is a natural diuretic. It gently encourages your body to shed water. During the daytime, that's often fine, even helpful. But at night, it can quietly set you up for dehydration. And in older adults, dehydration isn't always obvious. As we age, the sensation of thirst fades. Kidneys become less efficient. Blood vessels lose elasticity. So eating asparagus for dinner, combined with blood pressure meds or other diuretics, can quietly reduce your blood volume overnight. Less blood volume means thicker blood, like syrup instead of water. Thicker blood makes clot formation easier. And when those tiny clots travel into the small arteries of the brain, a silent stroke can happen while you sleep. Let me tell you about Joanne, a 79-year-old retired school counselor. Joanne loved asparagus, steamed with lemon and olive oil. She avoided red meat, walked daily, and prided herself on a healthy lifestyle. But Joanne also took blood pressure meds and had a history of mild atrial fibrillation. She didn't drink much water in the evenings, fearing nighttime bathroom trips. One morning, Joanne woke up confused, couldn't remember her address, and slurred her words. A brain scan showed a small ischemic stroke from a clot lodged in the brain's language center. Her blood tests revealed high hematocrit, a sign that her blood had become too concentrated. It wasn't just the asparagus, but the timing, medication, and dehydration that created the perfect storm. Joanne recovered, but it took months of speech therapy. Her words to me still stick. I thought I was doing everything right. I didn't know I was draining myself dry in my sleep. So here's how to stay safe. For asparagus lovers, don't eat large portions late in the evening. Drink enough water, even before bedtime. Avoid pairing asparagus with other diuretics or blood thinners without medical advice. Asparagus isn't the enemy, but in older adults, even gentle foods need new rules. Section 9. Tomatoes, the stroke mimic. And finally, let's talk about tomatoes. Tomatoes symbolize health and freshness. In salads, sauces, soups, they're everywhere. But in older adults, they can sometimes act like stroke imposters. Here's why. Tomatoes are rich in natural compounds like histamines, can trigger inflammation and blood vessel changes. Tyramines can cause blood pressure swings. Solanine, a neurotoxin found in nightshades, can irritate the nervous system in sensitive people. Add to that the acidity of tomatoes, which can interfere with your mineral balance. Put it all together, and for some seniors, tomatoes can cause symptoms like dizziness, headaches, blurry vision, numbness, slurred speech, all of which look and feel just like a stroke. This is what we call a stroke mimic. No clot, no bleed. But the symptoms are real and terrifying. Let me tell you about Geraldine, an 83-year-old retired piano teacher. Every night, Geraldine enjoyed homemade tomato soup. She believed it was wholesome and heart-healthy. One morning, she woke up confused, slurring her speech with a terrible headache. Her daughter rushed her to the hospital. Scans showed no clot or bleed, but her blood work revealed high inflammatory markers and shifts in electrolytes. Doctors traced it back to her nightly tomato soup, combined with a low-sodium diet and mild dehydration. Her brain's blood vessels were reacting unpredictably to the chemical load from tomatoes. Geraldine improved, but never fully recovered her sharp memory. So here's my advice. If you love tomatoes, avoid large portions late at night. Pay attention to symptoms like headaches, brain fog, or swelling. Talk to your doctor if you're on blood pressure, nerve, or heart medications. Tomatoes are not evil, but after 65, even foods you've trusted for years might need new rules. Conclusion: the wake-up call. Woo! That was a lot, right? You might be thinking, What the heck can I eat then? Don't panic. This video isn't about fear, it's about awareness. I'm not saying to throw away your veggies. The message is this: your body changes dramatically after 60. Medications, hydration, and aging blood vessels transform how food affects you. Even healthy foods can turn risky if eaten at the wrong time, in excess, or combined with certain meds. But here's the good news: you're not powerless. You can still enjoy a healthy, delicious diet by making some smart tweaks. Eat larger salads at lunchtime, not dinner. Stay hydrated, especially before bed. Keep your veggie portions consistent if you're on blood thinners. Pair higher carb veggies with protein or healthy fats to avoid sugar spikes. Always talk to your doctor about your diet, especially if you're on multiple meds. And most importantly, listen to your body. Dizziness, brain fog, headaches. These might not be just aging. They could be subtle warning signs. The goal isn't to fear food, it's to eat smarter. I want you to have a sharp mind, a steady balance, and the freedom to live independently as long as possible. If this video helped you learn something new, let me know in the comments. Tell me one small change you're going to make for your brain health. Let's inspire each other. And remember, you're never too old to protect your future. Thanks so much for watching. Take care of that amazing brain of yours, and I'll see you in the next video.